Welcome back, everyone. Have you ever caught yourself wondering if maybe there's some kind of hidden code running your life? Like a silent, invisible architecture completely dictating how we behave, how we think, how we interact with people. Well, in today's explainer, we are going to crack that code. We're decoding the actual architecture of the human brain, and trust me, we are bringing some deeply profound psychological truths out into the light, stuff that is secretly running the show in your life right now. So, let me ask you a pretty serious question. Are you actually in control of your own mind? Or are there hidden psychological forces pulling the strings behind the scenes, dictating your decisions, your relationships, even your self-esteem? Look, we all love to think we're fully conscious of why we do what we do. But the reality is so much more complex, and honestly, it's a little thrilling to uncover. Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for mapping out the human psyche today. 1. The inner mind's paradoxes. 2. Social power and manipulation. 3. The psychology of physicality. 4. Redefining bravery and risk. And finally, number 5, the modern attention crisis. Right, let's kick things off with a super fascinating look at highly intelligent introverts. Did you know that quiet, introverted people usually have way fewer friends? But, and this is key, the few friends they do have are incredibly true and loyal. And here's where it gets really interesting. This actually points to a quirk of high intelligence. Because their brains process information so incredibly fast, their handwriting often ends up looking completely messy or disorganized. Literally, their hands just cannot keep up with their minds. I mean, that probably explains every doctor's prescription ever written, for sure. Section 1. The Inner Mind's Paradoxes. Discovering the hidden battles within our own self-image and habits. You see, our absolute biggest psychological battles aren't fought out there in the real world. They're happening quietly inside our own heads, every single day. Look at this distinction right here. The fatal flaw of human nature is comparison. If you stand next to someone super fit, bam, you suddenly feel insecure about your body. Stand next to someone wealthy, and suddenly you feel poor. This constant comparison literally destroys your inner peace. The core psychological truth is that to find real inner peace, your only true competition should be the person you were yesterday. You've got to strive to be the best version of yourself, not just some imitation of somebody else. And this internal struggle is just so incredibly common, especially when it comes to self-image. Psychology tells us that the vast majority of women are never fully satisfied with their own looks. When they look in the mirror, they subconsciously believe that other women are just naturally more beautiful than them. It's tough, but it really proves that our self-image is often a complete illusion. It's just a trick our inner mind plays on us, totally blinding us to our actual reality. But hey, let's lighten the mood slightly. Do you know someone who just absolutely loves to sleep? Like, they'll jump into bed at literally any chance they get. You might think, oh, they're just tired. But psychology actually reveals that these folks are deeply calm at heart and highly, highly creative. They completely despise unnecessary drama and conflict. But here is the funny part. These same peaceful sleepers tend to talk the absolute most when they're highly confused about a decision. It's just this fascinating little paradox of the calm, creative mind. Section 2. Social Power and Manipulation. Understanding the dark dynamics of availability and secrets. We're going to shift to a slightly darker, more serious tone right now because we need to talk about how we are perceived and sometimes actively manipulated in social situations. The absolutely crucial thing to understand here is what we call the depreciation of easy things. This is a fundamental psychological principle that says when we get something too easily, we quickly stop valuing it. Think about it. If you like someone and you always make yourself overly available for them, they're inevitably going to start taking you for granted. It's a harsh reality of human behavior, but you have to maintain your self-respect and never lower your self-worth just to be accessible. Which brings us to an absolutely critical rule for your own self-protection when it comes to emotional intelligence and dark psychology. Never reveal everything to everyone. So, why is this so incredibly important? Well, because if you expose 100% of your ultimate skills or your life's deepest secrets, you are literally handing people the ammunition to use your weaknesses against you when the time is right. Keeping parts of yourself hidden is just essential. Otherwise, you leave yourself completely defenseless against opportunistic manipulation. Let's move to and see how this builds. Section 3. The Psychology of Physicality. How our physical choices shape our mental state. It is honestly amazing how our daily physical choices literally dictate our actual mindset. Take a look at these two profiles. Psychological studies have shown that non-vegetarians with heavy meat consumption are often linked to being more prone to irritation, mood swings, and anxiety. On the flip side, vegetarians or just people with a higher fruit and vegetable intake are linked to a much calmer, happier, and more stable mindset. Our physiological input literally has a direct pipeline to our psychological output. And it goes way beyond just what we eat. It extends to how we present ourselves to the world. Did you know the people who consistently dress neatly, cleanly, and attractively naturally generate much higher self-confidence? It's true. This simple daily habit makes them feel genuinely happy from within. And that inner happiness generates this incredibly positive vibe that acts like a total social magnet. You literally attract everyone around you. Seriously, dress well, and your mind absolutely follows suit. Section 4. Redefining bravery and risk, shattering illusions about probability and courage. It's time to challenge some deep-seated preconceived notions. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it completely shatters an everyday illusion. When we toss a coin, we just assume the odds are a perfect 50-50, right? Well, wrong. Scientific studies have actually proven that the side facing up before the toss has a 51% chance of landing face up, leaving the other side with 49%. There's always a slight physical and psychological bias at play. The perfect 50-50 reality? It's an absolute myth. And just like we misjudge probability, we totally misjudge courage too. We tend to assume that taking massive, reckless risks like jumping off a cliff without a parachute makes someone brave. But psychology says, actually, scratch that. That isn't bravery at all. It's just foolishness. True bravery, real courage, it's about moral fortitude. It's when someone, even if they are physically weak, stands up courageously against injustice. That is what real bravery looks like. Section 5. The Modern Attention Crisis. The Rapid Decline of Human Focus in the Modern Era. I really urge you to pay close attention to this final part, because modern society is actively, aggressively reshaping our cognitive abilities. Just trace this timeline. It perfectly illustrates a tragic shrinking of the human attention span. Back in the past, people could focus deeply for long periods. But in recent years, that preference has shifted to quick, bite-sized dopamine hits. Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts. And today, deep focus lasts only a few seconds for a lot of people. This is exactly why society now struggles so profoundly to digest long, high-value educational content. Our brains are quite literally being rewired. Which brings us to a pretty powerful realization. If you have made it all the way to the end of this explainer, congratulations, you have successfully beaten the modern attention crisis. You actually still possess the power of deep focus. But as we've seen today, from the depreciation of easy things to the hidden biases in a coin toss, our brains are absolutely full of blind spots. So I'm going to leave you with this. What else is your mind hiding from you? Keep exploring, keep questioning, and never stop learning about the incredible architecture of your own mind.